Now we can't see you. Is your camera off?
Yeah, I'm about to.
Okay.
I was over here typing. Okay, there I go.
There we go.
Double up. 3 or 4 times, I ain't telling no lies. I just run it up.
Give people a couple seconds to hop in here.
Double up. I ain't telling no lies.
What's up, IG?
I ain't telling no lies. I just 5, 4, 3, 2.
Can y'all give me a 1 real quick? Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. All right, we got some people in here. Investor Jones Real Estate, what's happening? What's happening? I see Mr. Weaver is here. Hello, hello, hello. Joseph Smith 24, what's happening? You guys are welcome to join here on IG like this. Whatever experience is best for you. I think Facebook is a little bit of a better experience. The sound is a little bit better. So whatever works for you. We're just happy to have you. All right, about 10 more seconds. Let this nip rock for a few more seconds. Kelton Kesey, what's happening? Welcome, welcome. You got a 1, 2, so you can hear us good. All right, cool. Go ahead and get started. All right. Well, welcome guys to another episode of Heart of the City. Appreciate you guys joining us. It's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. Man, that means a lot. Appreciate it that y'all would come and give up part of your evening with us. I got a really special show today. Let me make sure one last thing, just technically. All right, there we go. Got a really great show today. We have so we're doing, I guess you could call this a series on Saturday. And Chris, you know this. I had a conversation on Saturday with Kareem Webb, and
my man, Fourth Movement. Shout out to Fourth Movement.
Absolutely. So Kareem is quintessential entrepreneur, doing a bunch of different things, restaurateur, etc. But he specifically had hit my radar because of his work in the cannabis business. And in talking to his team, they told me about you. In fact, his publicist was like, yeah, super excited, to have you talk to Kareem. It's going to be a great conversation. You know who you should also absolutely have on your show? and then Relina, shout out to her. She went on. Yeah, absolutely went on for quite some time, just really talking you up. She's a big fan of yours, and I understand why now, having done my research to see all the things you've done. So I appreciate being able to make the connect. So here's the thing, man. This is gonna be so. Anyway, let me say it this way. I teed up the show, Chris, by talking about how I really see the cannabis business and the way that we square these policies. I really see it as a civil rights issue. You dig? Like, as much as anything else, it's clearly an economic issue and what have you. But I feel like we need to find ways to help Black folk, Black and brown folk. Tonight we're going to talk specifically to Black folk because of the moment that we're in this country, right? But we got to find ways for that community to build wealth. And the prospect of this business, which I think and correct me if I'm wrong, right? I think legal cannabis was something like $10 billion last year. Is that right?
Absolutely.
You dig? So you're talking about $10 billion of legal cannabis, and the rest is a whole lot more than that. But the legal cannabis is going to be 75, 80 million bucks by the end of the decade. If we don't get a piece of this pie, family, that's a travesty. That's a civil rights failure in my book.
Especially in the people that built the industry.
Talk about it.
Especially that part.
That part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel some kind of way about that. So anyway, I want to, here's the other cool thing is, like, I don't want that to make it feel like this is going to be kind of a dour policy. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is actually going to be a really fun conversation because Chris has had a wild 42 years. This guy has lived a life, man. And so I'm just going to basically make this story time. Before we get into story time, though, I do want to orient the discussion. And I do want to give folks some context as to why I'm making this civil rights point. So I came across this. Check this out, Chris. I was doing this research a while back for something else and came across where, so the war on drugs officially started with Nixon in 71, right? He says this is the biggest issue, whatever. How about they found they found one of his advisors who gave an interview a few years ago and basically fessed up. My man basically came out and said, yeah, that was really just about hurting black people.
Wow.
Literally came out and said it, fam. So I wanna start the show by playing that. I swear to God, we're gonna have fun tonight. I swear to God.
Yeah, but I want to hear this too. I want to hear this too. Shit, hold on.
You know what I'm saying? But I really want to start just to orient this and just so people don't think that I'm like that conspiracy guy. So check this out. Tell me if you guys can see my screen. Chris, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the
Beautiful.
Nixon White House after that had.
Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to play this little bit of audio. It's not even a full minute. And then we're going to come back and talk about how to fix this bullshit. All right, so...
enemies, the anti-war left and black people.
Oh, hold on.
There's an old quote from one of President Richard Nixon's advisors, John Ehrlichman, which has recently been dug up and been circulating around the internet. I'll read it in full. You want to know what this was really all about? Ehrlichman said to the reporter. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did.
Bruh.
Damn, bruh.
Bruh.
Bruh. Yo, God bless America.
God bless America. And we wonder why we in this situation that we're in right now.
Right.
Right.
Hard.
So, listen, I just wanted to start with that to orient this conversation. So y'all don't think I'm crazy. You don't think I'm making it up. I'm not. But I'll tell you this, though, as my dad used to say about conspiracy theorists, he said, I may be paranoid, but that don't mean they're not out to get me. Right. So anyway, that's the landscape, man. And I want to now turn it over to you because you are a real success story. Despite all the bullshit that this country was on in terms of the war on drugs, despite the crazy sentencing laws that came out of the crime bill. And can you maybe, Chris, can you just frame it up for people and explain to folks who your company is, what you guys do in the cannabis business, and then let's have a conversation about the social equity program and how it was instrumental in getting you guys launched.
Yeah, so like Vincent said, my name is Chris Ball, and I am the CEO of one of the first vertically integrated African-American owned, fully owned cannabis companies in Los Angeles. I'm a tier 1 social equity applicant. So I am one of, the first African-American companies to get a social equity license, to be vertically integrated, and to come out into the largest cannabis city in the world and have some success. So that is who we are. And that is what we do. We sell and grow fire weed.
No doubt. Make it plain. So I want to get into the I actually want to get into the business of cannabis, and you guys specifically, like, you're a craftsman, bro.
Yes, sir.
When I see and I read about the way you handle your craft, it really is that. So I want to get into that, but explain for folks who are not familiar with that term, social equity program, and then we're going to do a little bit of a bio on you because your story is too interesting not to tell your personal story. But just explain a little bit more about what the social equity program is, specifically in California.
Yeah, so the social equity program was actually originated out in Oakland. And what it is that it's a program that is set up to basically help people who are negatively impacted by the war on drugs, right? So what does that mean in layman's terms? Basically, when California when Los Angeles decided to go rec back in 2018, what they wanted to happen, what they're trying to say is that they didn't want to open up this licensing for, legal recreational cannabis. They didn't want to open up the licensing and only rich white folks get the license, or people with money get the license, right? So I think in the beginning, LA said we're going to allow, I think, 300 licenses, right? Out of those 300, the first 100 that we give out are going to be to social equity applicants. And these are people who have either they've been incarcerated for, for drugs, their parents, maybe someone, one of their parents has been negatively impacted or incarcerated for drugs. If they live in a certain zip code, where it was heavy drug traffic, and, the community, is basically fucked up because of drugs. If you have any of those requirements, and they had tiers, right? They had tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. If you qualified for that, you were able to come to the city and submit for a social equity license. And if you met the requirements and, checked all the boxes, then you would get granted one of these licenses, so that you now could rehabilitate yourself in an industry that you were, negatively impacted for in the past, right? So for me, I was trapping, I've been trapping since I was, basically 16 years old. Got indicted back in 2010, got myself a felony. And then lo and behold, in 2018, I heard about this program, went down to the city, saw that it was true, applied for the license, and I got it. So it's basically kind of an affirmative action type situation, if you will.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a great way to think about it for like somebody who's trying to figure out kind of where this thing fits in a bunch of different frameworks, right. Kind of like affirmative action for the weed business, for the legal.
Right. 100%.
So tell us a little bit more about, I want to, because we got some policy wonks on here. Folks are going to want to go and do a bunch of research and figure out how they can get involved. And we actually got a fair amount of people in California too. How is that going? Is it doing what they stated that the goal for it was? Is it meeting the expectation?
Okay. So for me, yes, it is, right? But I'm the exception. For 99% of the other social equity applicants, it's not working. And the reason that it's not working is because basically what happened was, they gave these licenses out, right? So all these people got excited, that they were going to be able to rehabilitate themselves, that they were going to be able to participate in this business. And then once you got the license, the city nor the state gave you any resources to do anything with, right? So it's kind of like, to put it into simpler terms, if you were to get let's just take a kid going to college, and, a kid coming out the hood and getting a scholarship to go play sport at college, right? You get a letter, the college says, yes, we're going to accept you. We're going to give you this scholarship to come play ball, right? We're going to give you a scholarship to come play ball at Berkeley, right? But then once you get there, the college says, we're going to give you this scholarship. We admit you to the school, but we can't pay for your housing. We can't pay for your food. We can't pay for your books. You got to figure out a way to do that yourself. But you can come to the college. If you can figure all that out, you can participate in the sport. So that's what's happening right now with the social equity program. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of these applicants out there who got granted a license, but there's no governmental aid. There's nobody to teach them how to go down to the city and get their permits. These are people who have been negatively impacted by the war on drugs. So this means that most of them have limited education, right? Even for me, I'm a Berkeley grad. And even when I went down to the damn city to try to get a permit, I stood there for 4 hours, me and my brother, and was completely lost, not knowing what the hell I was doing. So what good is it to give, these people a license if you're not going to provide them with the resources that they need to go out and be successful in this business?
Yeah.
And so for these people, that's why everyone's in an uproar, because the system is failing. The system is failing. It's not working.
Right. Wow. So even something that is ostensibly in place to correct the previous mess ups is messed up.
100. Absolutely.
With, you know, maybe a little bit of conspiracy theorist comes out again, and I go, is that on purpose? I don't know. You know, I don't want to, you know, say that necessarily, but
we all think, you know, we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, a lot of the social equity applicants are thinking it, and you know, I have conversations with a lot of them, and they're basically like, I wonder, man, you know, they gave us these licenses, but now what's going to happen? They gave us a license, you gave us a chance, we failed at it, so now what? Does pharma get to come in? Do all these rich white folks get to come in, or do all these rich Jewish people get to come in and buy up our license?
Right.
You know, to say, well, hey, we gave you the license, we gave you an opportunity, you failed at it.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of shit going around like that. There's a lot of speculation going around like that.
Even down to so there's a few other states. I think there's, you know, I don't want to give a bad figure, but there's a handful of other states that have social equity programs, right?
Absolutely.
And from what I understand, like, you guys led the way. I think Cali was first to legalize weed anyway. And then Oakland specifically.
Yes, but the city of Oakland, yes.
Okay. And then, but in Illinois, I saw an interview with a young lady who said, she said that the social equity application in Illinois was 400 pages, fam.
600 pages, bro. 600. I was told 600 pages.
Come
right?
on, bro.
And you didn't have to. I heard something else. I was on a Zoom call on a panel yesterday, and I think one of the intelligent women on there was talking about this very thing in that state, and she was saying something like it was 600 pages, and then you didn't even have to, like in LA, you had to make a certain amount below the poverty line. I think our number was like 40-some thousand a year in order to qualify. That, you know what I'm saying, to qualify for the social equity license. Over there in Illinois, they didn't even have that. You could have made $200,000.
Come on, fam.
Yeah. And
so you let anybody get in there.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was really just like a joke. Like, okay, why are you even calling this social equity then? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to target a certain demographic of people. Why are you even calling it that if there's not even any kind of financial, you know, there's not even any kind of financial.
Yeah, there's like no bar at all. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And see that again, so I go back to my earlier comments. That is why, you know, as I have gotten hip to this, I'm fairly new to this topic. I don't want to claim any expertise. I try to keep my ear to the ground, and somebody started hipping me to this, and I started digging a little bit more, and I decided to do a show, and then I said I'm gonna do a series on it. And so as I have been doing my little bit of digging, this feels like a civil rights issue.
Yeah,
you know, look at all these barriers that are being put up to us participating. All these barriers being put up to us being able to gain some wealth for this community, right? That blows my mind, bro. That blows my mind.
Face, man, it's really hard. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And you know, the only reason why I'm able to succeed is because of my 18 years of education.
Yeah.
You know, and because of a felony, and because of, you know, some scary nights, and you know, that's one of the main reasons why I'm able to succeed, is because I grew up in it. You know what I mean? I come from this culture. But if you don't, let's say, you know, you live down the block from me, but you've been negatively impacted just as bad as I have, and you want to get into the space, unless you have somebody like me mentoring you, you don't have no chance.
Yeah. And you got some pretty powerful mentors. I want to get there in a second, but do me a favor, just because, again, your story is so interesting. Let's take them all the way back, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, one of the things that struck me when we first talked is you said, and it's particularly striking to me, like my thinking on weed has evolved. I grew up in a really religious household, right?
Same.
Okay, right. But what was remarkable to me is you said that your family, they really didn't have a stigma around weed. It was a fairly common thing in the household. Can you just take them all the way back from there? And then let's walk up all the way up through college, because, you know, that's how you ended up, I think, help putting yourself through school. Can you just tell that whole story? I think it's remarkable.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, my step pops, man, introduced me to weed back when I was, I think I was about 8 years old. And I was born in South Central, down off of 94th and Hoover. I was born in Torrance Memorial Hospital. And, obviously my pops, my biological father, he wasn't around. So my mom met my step pops at around the time I was 7. And they dated for about a year. And then when I turned 8, we moved out, to a suburb called Rolling Heights with him. And he used to smoke, and I had already seen weed, obviously, growing up in South Central. But, it was never really that close. My mom didn't smoke weed like that, so it was me and her for the first 7 years. So once I moved in with my pops, he smoked weed. And so every night, after dinner, we leave the dinner table, we go into the living room. He go over to the couch. He pull out his little tray. He had like a little round tray that he would keep his weed on. Had his little papers. Had his little scissor joint holder. He trying to hold the roach and shit.
Right.
And I thought it was scissors when I was 8, but could find out later, that hold his roach. Right. So, and so he used to roll up his joint, man, and he used to smoke his joint. My mom would pour a glass of wine, and that's how they relaxed. We'd watch a movie. So, and this is in the 80s and shit. So, I would see that, and then I would go to school, and it was the Reagan era, and it was the Just Say No era during that time. So I would go to school and I would constantly hear, just say no to drugs, just say no to drugs. But then I would go home and Pops would be lighting up his joint. I go to barbecues, my uncles and my cousins would be lighting up their joint. And it was cool. Hell, my grandma smoked weed for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So for me growing up, weed never really seemed like something that was bad. I didn't understand, I thought just say no was like maybe, hardcore drugs, crack, cocaine, like all this. It never really dawned to me that they were talking about, it never really dawned on me that they were talking about weed. So, I grew up just kind of with that mentality in my family. Weed was cool. Everybody smoked. It was kind of like cigarettes. It wasn't a big deal. By the time I got into junior high, approaching like 8th grade, approaching my 9th grade, my cousin Earl kind of introduced me to the game. You know what I mean? My cousin Earl was the first real dope boy that I ever, was really close to, that I was close to. And, he was slanging weed, way back then. I would say about in 9th grade, 8th and 9th grade. And my cousin Earl always had the fresh Jordans. He always had the fresh white tees. You know what I'm saying? He always had the Gerbeau jeans or the Guess jeans and shit. Like cousin Earl was fly. You know what I mean? So I was fascinated with cousin Earl. You know what I mean? And he was my first cousin. So we were very close in age. You know what I'm saying? So that's who I used to kick it with. So that kind of, I kind of studied Earl a little bit, and you know what I mean? And by the time I turned 16, Earl gave me my first ounce. I was like, yo, cuz like I'm trying to get in on this. You know what I mean? But and he gave me my first ounce. They gave my first ounce and I kind of fucked it up. You know what I mean? Like I made a little bit of money here and there, but nothing real crazy. And at the time when I was 16, I was in 10th grade. I had got my first car and shit. I was really heavy into sports and music. You know what I'm saying? Like I had already been in a music group, growing up. We were already, signed to MCA Records and shit. So I really wasn't trying to be this trap boy. You know what I'm saying? I was just interested in it. I fucked with cousin Earl real heavy. He was fly. He always had money. And, I knew the football shit, that wasn't going to happen until much later. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward, man, to I go to high school, graduate. I'm selling weed here and there, but nothing, I'm still really not making no money like cousin Earl is, right?
I'm guessing that you were a good student. Is that a fair assumption?
I was a 3.0 student. Yeah. I was a 3.0 student. I kept a 3.0. I was, like I said, I was real heavy into sports and football, shit, and music. I would have scholarshiped out of high school, but because I was out of school so much for music, going on tours and doing this kind of shit, I could only really get busy my junior and senior year.
Are you cool? Are you cool if we mention the group that you were part of?
Yeah, so I was in a group called Love Force, but that group actually turned into the group Immature. You know what I mean? So
Chris Stokes, he had a crazy story.
Yeah, Chris Stokes was my manager. So, obviously we got big. We got too damn big to be little anymore. So then he created another group with 3 more members, and he called them Immature. Immature blew the fuck up. So I was always, I had come aboard to kind of like road manage them and do their choreography and shit. So all through high school, I was just in and out of school. You know what I mean? So that kind of fucked with my sports. You know what I mean? And then obviously he goes off to create B2K and all that shit. The rest is history, right? So then I went to a junior college. I was like, all right, fuck it. You know, I'm not getting the looks that I want in sports. So I'm gonna go to junior college. Now at the time I was living in Rialto, right? So I moved back to Walnut, where cousin Earl lives. Walnut is the next city over, right? So I move out and I go to attend Mount Sac. Now when I got to Mount Sac, Miles and Pops is like, look, you out the house, you on your own. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go start life. So sure enough, I get to Mount Sac, reach out to cousin Earl. I'm like, look, I got to get busy. I got to put gas in the car. I got to feed myself. I'm living with the homie. You know, it's time to get busy. So he like, I bet, no problem. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So he put me on, and I had studied him. Now, mind you, I've been studying cousin Earl since 8th grade, 7th grade. You know what I mean? So now here we are, you know, 7, 8 years later, it's on. You know what I'm saying? And I got my own wit and my own smarts to me. So I start, you know, peddling weed out my backpack out of Mount Sac Junior College. And this is how I, you know, paid my tuition, paid for my books, bought my Jordans, bought my fresh flight shirts. You know what I'm saying? This is how I started kind of fly through junior college. Wind up getting a scholarship to go play football at Berkeley. All right. Lo and behold, thank God, I'm out. I'm out the hood. I made it. We off to Berkeley. We off to the Bay. Go up to the Bay. I stopped selling. I was like, I'm done. I don't need this shit no more. You know what I'm saying? I got a football scholarship. I'm at one of the most prestigious schools in the country. I'm gonna get my degree.
Linebacker, right?
I played outside linebacker up at Cal. You know what I'm saying? Spent 2 years up there. You know, was all honorable mention, all Pac-10. Nice. Came out, went into training camp with the Niners. You know what I'm saying? Them niggas sent me over to Europe. Played in Berlin, Germany, in the NFL Europe. Had a great fucking time. Came back. Was about to go into training camp. Signed again with a team in the CFL in Vancouver with the BC Lions. So now I'm over in British Columbia in Vancouver. And this is when the shit really got real, right? When the shit took a turn, because when I got to Canada, you know, Canada's the hub. It's the mecca of the drug trade. You know what I'm saying? Everything comes through British Columbia, right? No matter where the fuck it's coming from. Not to mention that it's Canada, and the weed business in Canada has been legal forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right.
Weed in Canada, you paying $3,500 here in California. That shit is like $1,200 over in Canada because it's every. Right. So one of my teammates, his girl was a grower. Can you hear me, Vince?
Oh yeah, you broke up for a second. Just go back like 5 seconds.
Me?
Yeah, you good now.
Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
You were just saying that the prices is crazy. It's like $1,200 for what would be $3,500 here.
Okay.
And then I think you cut out a little bit.
Yeah. I bet. So the prices over in Canada, you know, are half the price, right? Something that will cost $3,500 a pound here in LA will cost you about $1,200 over there in Canada, right? So my partner at the time, his girl's brother had a grow, and he was growing. Now, all the time before this, when I'm fucking with cousin Earl, it had never dawned on me to grow the weed. I didn't even know that shit was possible. I just thought the weed appeared, right? It either came from Mexicans or it came from white boys.
Right.
Mexican, you had some zonas with some seeds and shit. You had the brick pack. If you had, you know, chronic, that came from the white boys, right? So I was just a middleman. I'm used to making, you know, middleman in a pack. I make $100. I make $150. If I'm good, I make $200. If I get somebody, right? We get to Canada and we going to my boy's grow, and I'm just asking him questions and shit, and I'm watching him grow. You know, we would go all the time, and I'm watching this plant just grow from seed all the way up till it gets fully developed, and then I'm watching the buds sprout out on the fucking plant, and I'm just like, yo, shit, man, like this shit is incredible. Like this shit is fascinating, right? I'm like, yo, man, how much does it cost for you to get it from A to Z? He's like, oh, probably like $400, $400 or $500. My eyes lit the fuck up. I said, what? $400 to $500. So now I'm doing the math in my head.
Right, yeah.
Oh no, shit. That's $2,500, $3,000 profit if I just sell one.
Right.
Motherfucker, I gotta sell 30 now.
Yeah, right.
Money just to fucking sell one.
Right.
All right, bet. So then me and my boy during the off season, when the season was over, now mind you, I'd already been bit by this, right? So I'm already thinking in my head, okay, eventually I got to get myself a girl in LA. But in the off season, how me and my boy would supplement our income, and I could talk about this shit now because statute of limitations, right?
Absolutely, you passed that. Yeah,
Back,
I out there like that, no doubt.
back in 2005, right?
Right.
So what we would do is in the off season, we would get packs. We would buy packs from Vancouver. We buy them for like 800-900. We load up the car, pop the border. You know what I'm saying? Drive them motherfuckers 18 hours down to LA and sell them motherfuckers for like 3 G's, 3,500. Right? And we would use our football credentials to pop the border.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, right.
Because both sides of the borders knew us. We were the NFL in Canada.
Right.
So when you pull up to the border and you coming home, it's just like, oh, hey guys, nice game. You guys had a good game or tough loss.
Right.
Yeah, going home to see my mom, see my girlfriend. Mind you, we got fucking
no idea you transport.
No idea. We got 15, 20 packs from, right? They're like, oh, guys, see you guys have a good weekend. See you when you get back. You know what I'm saying? So we come down, offload the shit, you know, stack up, and then we come back up, you know what I mean, in the off season. So that shit went on. I was out there for 3 years. You know what I mean? That shit went on for a few years. And then I wind up coming home.
So wait a minute, hold on. You are running a legitimate, and it sounds like very profitable slinging business while you are playing pro football?
Absolutely. Guys do it all the time. Guys do it all the time. Guys wouldn't even fucking suspect are doing that shit.
All right, we're not gonna put nobody on blast. All right,
we definitely ain't.
Okay.
But, like you said, you take the homeboy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the homeboy. Right. You hear them stories all the time about pro football players getting busted with hundreds of pounds of weed. And motherfuckers is like, what are you doing? You make millions of dollars. Why are you doing that? It's the thrill of the hustle, man. It's just the game. You know what I mean? It's the love for the game and the culture. Right. All the shit is. So anyway.
So at some point, so you're killing. I mean, are you able to share, like, how big of an operation did you have at this point?
All right. So now, mind you, like I said, we can only bring 10, 15 units at a time, right? Okay. So what wind up happening is there's a group out there called the Hells Angels, right? They're stationed, they're positioned out there in Canada. That's where they're from. Well, they know us. They know who's in their city. You know what I mean? They're like the mafia in Canada, right? So one day I'm in a bar with the homies, and I get approached by one of these Hells Angels. Hey, Chris Ball, how you doing? No, I'm good. I'm like, why is this Hells Angel talking to me? Hey, man, you live in LA, right? Yeah, I live in LA. Okay. You sell weed, right? Everybody sells weed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, fuck around a little bit. Well, you know, how would you feel? Could you move some weed if we got it down there for you? Yeah, absolutely. How much weed we talking about? I'm thinking, you know, oh, he gonna send me like 20, 30 pounds. This motherfucker was like, well, like 100, 200. I said, excuse me? You mean to tell me it's already there?
Right.
He was like, we get it there. It's already there. We already have a pipeline going there.
Right.
I said, I absolutely fucking can. I said, no problem. If all I got to do is pick it up in LA, I absolutely.
Oh my God.
So that kind of blew me up. Once I started to have that type of volume, and because I was getting it so cheap, I could undercut the market. Right.
Yeah.
So
at this point, are you rivaling? Because I imagine your CFL contract was good, but it wasn't blockbuster. Are you rivaling your income? Yeah.
I'm killing my income.
Your what?
I'm killing my income. I'm making more doing this than I am playing football.
Wow.
I'm making more doing this than I am playing football. I play football because I love it. You know what I mean? And it's what I wanted to do. And honestly, I didn't want to be a full-time drug dealer. Like I do have a degree. Like I do, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things I do have some ethics and a little bit of ethics and values and morals, right? I don't want to just be off not paying fucking taxes, like not doing anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
you could be a citizen still. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But I was definitely making more money. You know what I mean? I was definitely making more money than I was making on my football contract.
So, I mean, we've all seen this movie before, right? And so at some point, you know, the music changes and
comes crashing down.
Right.
Inevitable.
So how did that happen?
All right. So this was all happening, right? This was all happening in 2006. So I come back, I finish playing, I stop playing, I get a part in a movie. All right, here's where the shit takes a turn. I get a part in a movie called The Longest Yard. where Adam Sandler, right? Everybody's seen that movie.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
So I get a part in the movie as one of the brothers, you know, me, Terry Crews, Nelly, Michael Irvin, yada, 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 right? The movie shoots. I finished playing football, and the movie starts shooting probably like 2 or 3 weeks later after I get back. Okay. So I shoot that movie for 3 months, right? Now, mind you, we only got 6 months off. Right after that movie, I get approached to do another football movie called The Gridiron Gang with The Rock, right? Same guy that hired me to do The Longest Yard, you know, because I was the real athlete and, you know, I always wanted to act and, you know, nigga just funny and just a good person. Just, you know, he was like, hey, man, do you think you want to jump in this next movie with us? We could use you. I'm like, absolutely. Sure. Now with this movie, it shot all the way up until the point where I was supposed to go back to Canada.
Okay.
Right, to report for camp on my contract. So I just decided, fuck it. I have the weed thing going. This is my second movie. And now I'm like, I'm gonna have me a little career in Hollywood and be, you know, behind everybody's back. Right. So I said, fuck it, I don't go back to Canada. I go and shoot The Gridiron Gang, and everything is lovely. Everything is cool. Finish that movie. You know, start trying to jump in some acting classes and shit. I'm really, you know, not trying to go as hard as I was going, but we was still, you know, putting food on the table and doing everything. Well, the movies didn't come, obviously, right? It ain't that fucking easy. And so I was like, you know what? Money started running a little thin, and I was like, fuck it, I'm about to turn it back up, right? So now I turn it all the way to fuck back up. But now I got a new connect, and this connect is in Mexico, not in Canada. Right, the Canada Connect kind of ran its course.
Don't say no names, bro.
No, we ain't saying no names. We definitely ain't saying no names about this one, right? But I got a new connect. So boom, I start going with the new connect. And at this time, there was a dude that owed me some money that couldn't pay me, and he had a grow warehouse. So I'm like, all right, bet. He's like, I don't got no money, but I'll give you this grow warehouse. It had 14 lights in it. My partner, I was like, man, I don't know how to grow, but I remember everything I learned in Canada from my boy's brother, right? And I remember those margins and those numbers.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, my boy was like, take it, man. This is $1 million facility. I'll teach you. We can do this shit together. So I said, all right, boom. So now we go in, we start growing, and I got the new connect in Mexico. I'm in there burning up plants. I'm burning shit up, right?
You don't know what you're doing yet.
I don't know what I'm doing yet. This is, you know, first goal. You know what I mean? This is back in like 2008 and shit, right?
Yeah.
Burning up plants for about 2 years. But because of the connect I had, I could keep the lights on. I could keep paying the rent because I'm supplementing the income from my distribution skills.
Gotcha.
Right? So boom, finally, my boy, I call him Mr. Miyagi, right? His name is Eric, but my cousin introduces me to this dude named Eric. Eric comes in and turns around the grow. He actually knows more than I do, so he starts showing me. So now we start growing good weed. Right about this fucking time, my partner in the connect, we go out to do a deal in Arizona, and this motherfucker brings the feds with him.
Come on.
Right? So now mind you, and the funny part about this deal was he wasn't even supposed to be there. This deal was for me and one of my other partners, and me having the heart that I have and wanting to always help my friends and wanting to always bring another motherfucker along. I called him up like, yo, bro, we got a situation over here. You may want to get in on this. We go out to Arizona. This motherfucker brings the feds. We get popped, right?
Wow.
Now, we did not and when we first got licked, it was just the driver. The driver got licked, right? So we saw the whole thing go down. We watched them light them up. We broke our phones, jumped in the highway, came back to Cali. About 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a federal agent. I'm in Miami, hanging out with one of my mentors, right? I'm like, fuck it. He went down. I'm gonna just lay low for a minute. Shit getting too hot around here.
I'm out.
Miami. I'm out. Hey, right. I get a call on my cell phone, bro, and the number just had all zeros in my phone.
It's a bad sign, fam. It's a bad sign.
And no, I ain't never been in trouble before. I ain't never been arrested. I ain't never no problems with the law in my life. I answer the phone like, hello. He's like, hello, Mr. Ball. This is a DEA agent, Mike. I know his name. I know every fucking thing. It's like the phone call happened yesterday. This was back in 2010. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. You know what I mean? He's like, we need to talk to you. We need to talk to you. We need to talk to you. So I kind of played him to the left for a couple of days. He kept calling. I called my attorney. My attorney said, fuck it, set up the meeting, but set up the meeting here in my office. Okay. Don't meet with them by yourself. If you meet with them by yourself, they're going to arrest you. You're just talking shit. I said, okay, no problem. I called him back. I said, meet me at my attorney's office on Tuesday, 9 a.m. All right, no problem. I'll be there. I pull in on Tuesday, bro. Then I pull into this parking lot, right? I get out of the car and I'm thinking nothing's going on. Get out the car, about to go up to my attorney's office. We're going to talk about everything. He's going to be in the room when I talk to this man about information. We're going to be Gucci. Right. And I walk in the fucking lobby and there's people in the lobby. I walk up to the elevator. I push the elevator. As soon as I push the elevator, I heard somebody say, Chris Ball. So I turn around. Man, every person in that lobby that I thought was regular people were federal agents. Yeah. 16 of them, bro.
It's like a movie, bro.
Fucking movie scene, bro. They were in regular civilian clothes. It was women, fucking tall with short with like, bro, everything, right? They all pulled out their necklaces from under their clothes and started kind of coming towards me and shit, right? Wow. So they're like, don't try to run, you're surrounded. So I'm like, damn. And Mike, the agent, kind of comes forward and he's like, hey Chris, it's me, Mike. And I recognize him from his voice, but mind you, I had never seen him. Right. He like, look, you're under arrest for, distribution of marijuana throughout the United States. I said, look, man, I thought you said we was going to talk. He said, we are going to talk. I just had to get you cuffs first. First, bro.
This bastard.
Like, damn, it's over.
Wow. So, man, all right, hold on. So we got to, hold on. You just threw a lot at us, man.
You threw a lot, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, brother. This is why we want you on the show. We might go a little bit past an hour, y'all. Hope y'all don't mind.
It's good. It's good. I ain't got nothing but time.
Okay, cool. So, first of all, audience, I hope y'all see what I meant when I said this brother has lived a life. Let's just recap real quick. So, my man started selling as a teenager, put himself through JUCO, at least partially from selling, was a good student, a phenomenal athlete, ended up UC Berkeley, right? Oh, by the way, got a record deal along the way, right? Ended up catching a contract in the NFL, ended up playing in the CFL. While he's playing pro ball, he is running a very, very profitable, you ain't got to put numbers out there, running a very profitable operation that is dwarfing his professional football salary.
Mm-hmm.
What are you, 25 at this point? 30?
Yeah, I think I was. So let's see. I was born in 77. So 87, 97, 2000. So I'm 20, all the way from 24 up until I'm 30.
Wow.
Up until I'm 30.
Here's the thing that's striking to me that sort of goes back to the beginning of the conversation. You ended up, it sounds like you got set up, and it sounds like they might have been coming after your connect, again.
They was coming after my boy. Yeah, they told me, they were like, we don't even want you. Even when he spoke to my phone, he's like, Chris, we know who you are. We know about your football career. We know you're a good guy. You just touched the wrong motherfucker.
Right. But the thing that's crazy to me, going back to the beginning of our conversation, is somebody this talented, this resourceful, this brilliant, frankly, you could, but for the social equity program, you could be locked out of this business. Right? Oh, the legal cannabis business.
100%. Because without equity, I would not be allowed. I have a felony.
So how did you? So you get popped and you figure. Didn't you just want to be done with weed? Did you? How did you come back to it after all this went down,
bro? All right. So here's how that shit happened. Right when I came out, my mom picked me up. I was down at MCC down in San Diego. And, when you're in jail, there's a place in jail called the Law Library, right? It's a place called the Law Library where you get to go in there and you get to study other people's cases. You get to study how maybe the system got fucked up, how maybe the cops fucked up, all these kind of different things. And there would always be some bros inside the Law Library, and we would just talk about cases. They would, they knew about my case because my case was really big. It was a very, very, it was a national case. Everyone knew, right?
Yeah, he was somebody, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I was working for somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And they talked to me, man, and they were like, bruh, when why were you, you know, doing all this middleman and this and that and all of that? And I'm like, you know what, man, that's just what I was taught. Like, I didn't really know any better. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I was taught. And they were like, you know, could you imagine had you, you know, been out there really growing? I said, well, I was trying to grow. They were like, nah, had you put the shit down and you really just growing on your own, you know what type of money you would have made, the type of dollars you would have laid up, sitting up in your account somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. So the light went off in my head. Right. So when I got out, in my brain, I was like, you know what? It's kind of like you go into jail with like a bachelor's degree in something, and then you talk to the right people. Now, mind you, I'm in feds. I'm not in the state. You know, I'm in jail where people are successful at what they did.
That's right. That's right.
They don't at state. They're not coming for you. But when you make it to the feds, you done made 7 figures. Right. You done fucking ducked off from Uncle Sam like you were successful to get there.
Yeah, you were really good at doing bad stuff.
You were really good at doing whatever you were doing that's considered bad, right? So when I got out, of course, I was like, I don't want to do shit. I don't want to touch this right now. I don't want to do anything. But in the back of my mind, I knew what I had just learned in that, right? Absolutely. So I knew after you get out, you read the discovery. They have to tell you how they caught you. All that shit comes out. Oh, wow. You get to read the affidavit. You get to read the discovery. We were with you here when you did this, when you did that. And my lawyer used to always tell me, to be like, man, you guys would get away with this shit if you would just stay off your phones, right? So there was a multitude of shit that I was being told that I learned. So when I got out, I already kind of knew the system, right? Yeah. I knew I can't do nothing for a good 2 or 3 years because they're going to be watching me. Yeah, you got like this. I got a report. I'm on probation. I'm all these fucking things, right? But at some point, you may come back. And if I come back, I know how to come back correct this time.
Right. Close to the plan.
Yeah. So I got out, you know, and I got a job. You know, it was fucking embarrassing. I'm 30 years old. I had to go get a job at Abercrombie and Fitch. I was a fucking manager, managing 16 and 17-year-old, I would say 17, 18-year-olds, right? And I wind up getting headhunted out of Abercrombie to go work for Nike.
Okay.
I had helped somebody at Nike. So being that I had a history with Nike when I was playing pro ball, I made a phone call and boom, Nike brought me in to run the NFL department in Vegas back in 2012. Now, mind you, this whole time, I'm just working regular. No weed, no nothing. None of that shit.
Right.
It wasn't until I got off probation. Once I got off probation and I had to stop reporting, Omarion called me. It's another one of my good friends.
Okay.
Right? And said, yo, I just got signed to Maybach Music and Rick Ross. I need you to come with me because I need a real nigga around me, how we put it, right? I need somebody that speaks their language. You know, the B2K shit, there's rumors around this and that about me, blah, 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 blah. So I need somebody that speaks their language. All right, so I said, bet, I got you. So I quit and I left Nike, right? This is in 2012. Once I got out there, it started up again, right? Because what am I now? Yeah. What am I now? I'm back in the music business. Right. I'm on tour. Look, niggas are smoking weed left and right. Niggas is from everywhere. We on tour bus.
Uh-oh. We lost your audio.
You got me in my back?
There you go. Now you're back. It was only like 2 seconds out.
I'm back. All right.
Yep.
Somebody tried to call me. My bad.
Oh, okay.
So after that, man, that's kind of when I started to come back. And when I came back, let me tell you, my friends, my family, I was the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived. They could not believe it. I don't believe, and I knew if I had got caught doing anything else in cannabis, the judge told me when he gave me time served, if I got caught doing anything else with cannabis, it was an automatic 3 years. Automatic 3 years, no questions asked. We're not even going to try nothing. This is your second offense. Your ass is out of here. So when I started tippy-toeing back in it, everyone was like, man, you're fucking crazy. You're stupid. He never learns. He'll never going to get it. He's going to wind up back in jail. And I don't know what it was, bro, but something just brought me back to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was inside of me. I can't really tell you why. Something just brought me back to it.
Right. So something brings you back to it, and somebody pulls your coattail, though, and says, You know, because you were ready to do it, as they say, traditional, which is to say black market.
The black market, yeah. I was already back in. I had already, at this point, I had linked back up. I linked back up with
Okay.
Eric, guy who had taught me what was up. We had a couple warehouses, and I had this Israeli Jewish partner who had a lot of fucking money and
Right.
and he was like, look, I'm gonna buy the buildings and give you the money to build them. You go in there and grow them and get rid of the product, and we're gonna split everything 50-50. And I was in.
But at what point, who was it that pulled your coattail and said, look, you obviously, you know, have a gift, a talent around this plant, but why don't you do it this way? Who put you on to SEP and got you in the legitimate cannabis business?
My Israeli Jewish partner.
He did that. Okay.
Yes. Because what he was trying to do was he wanted to legitimize and legalize what we were doing, what we had already had. Right. Gotcha. So he's like, look, there's this program called the Social Equity Program. Why don't you go down to the city and check it out? And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, bruh, it's a thing where they give guys with felonies like you who have been, you know, incarcerated, you know, for drugs. They give you guys, you're able to get a license. I was like, yeah, right. That shit don't exist. They're not going to give no felon a license. He was like, no, that's exactly what it's for. So he introduced me to some guy, the guy, we both went down to the city, man. And sure enough, it was real. It was legit. Wow. Once I said it was legit, my whole world just kind of turned upside down. I said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
If I can get one of these licenses, I'm home free.
Yeah.
Because I already know everyone. Even at that point, I had half of my boys own, you know, those dispensaries. The dang, I can't think of the name of the dispensaries before Prop 64. But there were a bunch of dispensaries before it legalized in LA. Half of my friends own those shops.
Oh, I see.
Right. Oh. So it was like, if I could just, and I had been trapping with those guys for years before. You know what I mean? We all grew up together. So I knew if I could get a license and get my product on with them, they would put it on their shelves.
Wow.
And so that's what in, bro.
So it all comes full circle. Did you ever imagine? So check out. Can you see my screen, Chris?
Yes, I can't see your screen. Pretty dope article.
Man, bruh, you want to talk about a full circle? So after all of that, after, you know, being incarcerated, coming out, you know, willing to do it traditional, which is to say illegal again, somebody puts you onto a way to do it legal, and you basically just hit the ground running in that part too. So much so that this is a Forbes article, y'all, just in case you didn't see the masthead. You were interviewed by Forbes this is really recent, right? It was just last month?
Yeah, it's last month.
Tell me about, what has it been like making the transition from what you were doing before to now being in a legitimate cannabis business? Is it, I guess, first question, is it harder or is it a little bit simpler?
Bro, it's 100 times harder.
Wow.
It's 100 times harder to be in the legal space than it is to be in the black market.
Okay.
In the black market, you know, it's very, very simple. You grow the weed, you sell the weed.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very simple. You got the weed, you grow it, you sell it. In the legal market, there's so many things, bro, in between growing the weed and actually getting the product to the consumer.
Yeah.
There's compliance, there's testing, there's distribution, there's taxes, there's transportation, there's labeling, what you're gonna put the cannabis in, you know, what stores are gonna carry it, how many jars are they gonna carry. It's literally, this thing has been just even trying to get the license and get through the application process and get in line and get your fees paid and get the okay and get the inspector to come out to the building and inspect the building, and you built this wrong, tear this down, rebuild it, put that pipe over there. This has to be, a person in a wheelchair needs to be able to get to over here. And bruh, it's never ending. So, right. You know, to be able to make it as far as we've made it thus far, and mind you, we're only 2 years old.
Yeah.
You know, we're 2 years old. So to have Forbes display interest in my company, and for them to do that write up, man, which was a dope write up, you know what I mean? And I never would have thought in a million years that I would see my company or my face in a Forbes write up regarding cannabis. You know, something I was incarcerated for, 11 years ago.
Right.
So it's like a dream come true.
There is no better example of the fact that a lot of the folks sitting inside of prisons really should be running operations.
100%.
They have the skills, they have the ingenuity, they have the ability to lead. Leadership is a huge part of it. And, a few stacks of paper and some signatures, and now you're doing it legal and being interviewed by Forbes. And if I'm not mistaken, it's public information, so I hope you don't mind me sharing. I think you said you're projected to do north of $4 million this year.
100%. Absolutely. And that's just cannabis. We ain't even talking about manufacturing yet. I ain't even added that into the repertoire yet, into the brand.
Right. Wow.
So
break down for us, if you could. So you used the term vertically integrated early in the conversation.
Yes.
What does that mean exactly? So you guys do multiple levels of the process. Right?
Yes. So we have cultivation, which is actually growing the flower. We have manufacturing, which means we can, cut down the flower, manufacture the trim, turn it into oil, turn it into vape carts, turn it into edibles, things like that. And then we have distribution, meaning we distribute our own product, right? So out of the 4, and there are a couple other licenses, but the main 4 is cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and retail, right? We were going to go get
I just want to make sure I got it.
Growing it, manufacturing it, so turning it into other things, distributing it, and then retail. The consumer.
Gotcha.
Right. So the last component that we don't have right now is the retail component, but we will have it when we all go for our delivery license.
Okay. And are those all different licenses, each of those steps, those tiers?
Yes, sir. Those are all different licenses. Those all carry a different, tax hit. They're all different.
Got you. And when we talk about those numbers from earlier in the conversation that, Black folks are, 2-3% of ownership at all, is that across all of those sectors, or are we doing well in one of those tiers? Do you know?
Bro, that's across all of those sectors. We're not doing well in none of the tiers. For me to be a Black, African American cultivator, bro, that's rare. There's like 3 of us. 3. There's 3 of us that I know of who do it on a high level, on a level to compete. Right.
Al Harrington, he does, right?
Al is not a grower.
Really?
We're doing a partnership with Al right now to collab so that because I want to be growing for Al.
Got you. Al Harrington,
Viola.
Played for Denver for a long time. Now has really successful cannabis business and stuff. Viola.
Yeah, right. Viola, grandma's name.
Oh, beautiful. He's really putting on for the culture too. He really impressive cat. Okay, so you're one of 3 people who actually bring it out of the ground.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Define, if you don't mind, just because I was really fascinated by the craftsmanship of all of this. What is pheno hunting? What is that?
So pheno hunting is when you're looking for different cannabis strains, right? You're looking for really good cannabis strains, right? So for instance, let's say I want to grow, Black folks love smoking OG, right? Now we got all these different exotics, right? So what you want to do is pheno hunt is when you take the seeds, you get the cannabis seeds, right? So let's say a pack of seeds has about 12 seeds in it, right? You take that pack of 12 seeds, and let's say these seeds are supposed to be OG. They're supposed to be Vince OG.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to take these seeds, and these pack of seeds was created by 2 other cannabis strains, right? Pheno hunting in cannabis botany is a lot like human life, right? There's a male plant, there's a female plant, right? You put the 2 in a room, you close the door. The male plant has seeds. His seeds get excited, they explode. He pollinates onto the woman. Woman plant gets pregnant, pops out more seeds. Right now, those seeds that she popped out are
family
the
show. It's a family
man,
show. It's a family show.
yeah. It's just life, just the circle of life. Right?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Now, those seeds are, for sake of just to put an example, are Vince OG.
Okay.
So now I'm going to take those seeds and I'm going to plant all 12 of those, and I'm going to let them sprout up. Right. Once they sprout up and they grow, I'm going to find the one who has the best attributes.
Gotcha.
Right. So they're all brothers and sisters. There's going to be male and female. All plants that grow flower that we smoke are female plants. Those are all women. Right. So
Gotcha.
you're looking for the best female with the best attributes, from how rigorous she is, how she grows, how much, THC profile is on her, how she smells, how she looks, the bag appeal, the look test, all of those different things. And that's what pheno hunting is. You're basically hunting for the best female.
Gotcha. Wow. So this is like it's a lot of science in this, man. A lot of
it's botany.
Yeah, straight up. Let me ask, just going back to something you said about growing. Why do you think? I mean, we're just speculating here, but to the extent that Black folks are in the business, why so few at the grower level? Is it? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think?
Here. This is my opinion, and my opinion could be wrong. This is just my opinion. In the Black community, right? There aren't a lot of farms.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of land.
Yeah. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, there's no land in South Central.
Right.
There's nowhere for me to. My parents didn't teach me how to put a seed in a bucket and make it grow.
Right.
First seed I ever popped was in elementary school, and I think I had whatever that little, they give you the little seed and you in home ec and you put it in the pot and it and you come back a week later and it's a seed, but nobody really teaches us that, right?
Right.
There's also the other factor of patience, right? Patience. I wasn't very patient, as an adolescent. I wanted what I wanted and I wanted it now, So it was easier for me. Not only did nobody teach me that, but it was easier for me to just go get it from the homie Julio,
right?
Get it from the homie Chad, and this middleman, right? So now, if I never went to Canada, I never even would have got bit by that bug.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I saw it and I got fascinated by it, and then because I'm from the weed culture, all weed is not good weed. All cannabis is not good cannabis. So as a middleman, I would have to hunt around and find the great weed that I knew I could make the most margin off of.
Sure. And
so then I was just like, you know what? I just want to be the best grower. I want to grow the best and sell the best.
Yeah.
I want, when people look at my cannabis, I want my consumer to be like, oh my God.
Right.
Where did you get this? This is fire.
Right.
And I became obsessed with just that part.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think that has a lot to do with why you don't see more brothers and sisters actually going at the cultivation. I don't think they've thought that deep into it, or no one has taught them, hey, that the real money is not just taking it from there to there. The real money is from actually putting it in the ground, growing it yourself, making sure that it's quality, making sure that it's the right thing to give to the consumer or your people, and then making that money. That's a much bigger pocket.
Now, this is something that actually gets into sort of my neck of the woods. I mean, we work in real estate, and we serve consumers who are trying to become real estate investors, typically as residential stuff. But every so often, man, and I don't really have an answer for folks, but somebody will bring me, hey, I've got so many acres of raw land, and New Jersey has been talking about, legalizing. They had a referendum, it got shut down, it's supposed to come back. Who knows what will happen? But, in the back of my mind, I always go, wow, maybe, get me enough land to, sit on when that happens. How should people think about those opportunities? What is viable? What is eligible weed growing land look like?
So right now, me and my partners just put a down payment on 22 acres in Santa. Right. And what we're planning on doing, this particular piece of property, when we do the numbers, will yield us about $80 million a year. It's about an $80 million a year operation.
Say that one more time, bro.
This 22 acres will yield us about $80 million a year in revenue.
Yeah. One of us that ain't playing right. I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. So, you know, for cannabis, first of all, if you're going to get into it in Los Angeles and you want to try to be profitable, the first thing you probably need to do is you need to start indoors, you know, because you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to grow on acres in Santa Barbara. You're not going to be able to grow in the outdoor. We don't have the jungle like that, right? So you want to start small. Maybe get yourself a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot commercial building.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Grab yourself a license and then start. Now, it's going to take you 3 or 4 years to figure this out. This is the problem with the space and everyone cramming the space, right? Everyone thought that they could just run out, grab them some property, grab them a building, throw some plants in there, and they were going to have a successful weed business.
Right.
It ain't going to work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Right? If you are a cannabis consumer, right? Okay, so I always like to use this example, Vince. You eat steak?
Of course.
All right. You know the difference between a Sizzler steak and a Mastro steak, correct?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You've been Mastro's, yeah? Boa, right? You know the difference when you put it in your mouth. You don't even need to follow it. You know the difference from just looking at it on the plate.
Right.
Same thing in the cannabis business. The consumer, the cannabis consumer, the real one that's actually going to get up and go to the store and buy their medicine, right? They know the difference in the quality. So it ain't as simple as you just grabbing some plants, putting it in a room, growing it, putting it in a nice fancy jar or wrapper and getting it on a shelf. The consumer's going to buy it one time, they're going to spit it out, and they're never going to come back there again.
Right.
I
was just let me ask you this, because again, since you have had to figure out a lot of this, maybe not on your own, but you didn't have a lot of folks who I suspect, you know, certainly didn't look like you, who sort of grab you under their wing. Who has mentored you, though? Who has helped you to get up the curve so quickly to be this successful in the business?
Now, are we talking about growing, or are we talking about business acumen?
Yeah, great question. Either or both, whichever you have leaned on most, and it could be both.
So in the cannabis space, I've had a couple mentors, right? I've had Mr. Miyagi kind of started me off, you know. But now my genetics partner, Ashton Hallworth, you know, has been the guy who has really, really taken me, you know, to the next level. And it showed me what it really means, you know, about genetics, what it really means about pheno hunting. You know what I mean? These are the things that, you know, that he's brought to the equation now that has really, really set us apart. You know, couple, you know, that knowledge and that great product with, you know, a couple of my mentors in business. You know, Wilmer Valderrama is one of my best friends.
Nice.
You know, Kevin Hart is another mentor of mine when it comes to business, and Al Harrington. You know, these guys are extremely successful in their craft and what they do. And fortunately for me, they just so happen to be some of my really, really good friends. So I get to study up under them. I get to watch them run their businesses. I get to watch them, you know, handle their finances. I get to watch them talk to their CPAs and ask certain questions, you know. So, you know, I've been really fortunate, you know, to have guys like that in my life, and then have, you know, the history that I've had with the plant and with the business and with the culture. So those two, you know, some people say it's luck, but it hasn't been luck for me at all. It's been, you know, my preparation has met the opportunity. You know, the prep me since I was started, you know, at 16, you know, finally met the opportunity, and going to jail and doing all these other different things to the opportunity of, hey, LA's decided to give out a social equity license. Well, boom, there you have it. You know, there's a unicorn that's born.
So this is a great way to sort of tease towards or segue towards wrap up, and also some action items for people. Man, this is remarkable, dude. We could talk for probably a couple hours. I'm gonna have you come back, man. Seriously.
I could go all day, man.
Yeah. But the thing that's I'm struck by right now, as I hear you say that, is, you know, listen, everybody doesn't have your background, your connections, your networks, and what have you. which is why, again, it's so valuable what Kareem Webb is doing, because he is trying to give to people, right, a type of brain trust. Resources, you dig?
Yeah.
So it's so super, super powerful, and good on him for doing that. But it's also why, going back to the point of the show, guys, I don't know if you heard, if you just coming into the show, he said they just put down a deposit on a 22-acre piece of land that's going to generate $80 million top line in revenue. This is real wealth that is being created here. There's already been a unicorn, right, in this business, $1 billion valuation on a weed business.
Yes, sir.
And it's just critically important that we participate. We cannot, especially when we get locked up at 4 times the rates of white folks who have comparable usage patterns, right? We get locked up at 4 times the rate. We cannot have a situation where those policies took all of this talent and treasure out of these communities and put them in a box. And now this country gets religion and says we're going to make this legal, but those folks we put in a box for doing the very same thing, y'all can't participate.
Yep.
We can't have it.
We can't have it. We can't have it. And let me tell you, man, something I want to highlight, and I want the viewers, whoever's watching this, I want this to kind of sink in. Black and brown people, have made the cannabis industry cool.
Yeah.
We've made cannabis $1 billion industry, right? It's us. It's happened on our back. It's happened on our parents' back, whether they were incarcerated for it. It's happened in our communities, all that. We Black and brown people, have made this industry cool. And could you imagine what would happen if Black and brown people decided to really go at this industry and really learn this industry and really learn how to cultivate and start these great brands? Can you imagine? We're the ones, we're the network. We're the ones distributing it everywhere. We're the one that got it in every video. We're the one that got it in all the rappers' hands. We're the one. So just what do you think would happen? We could, out of this, how much ever, 70, 80 billion dollars that it's going to be worth, how much of that pie you think we would have if we could vertically integrate ourselves and really take this thing serious? That's where my brain went.
Yeah.
That's where my brain went. I at that time, I wasn't even thinking about it on a grand scale. I was just thinking, well, shit, I already got the network.
Right.
For all the people. All I need to do now is produce the product. And now I own every aspect of the supply chain. Can't nobody take it away from me.
Yeah.
Can't nobody take that away from me. That's the reason why I didn't take investments. That's the reason why I didn't do any of that. I built it room by room. This one's ready. Move to the next one. Reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. No big salary, no big car, no big chains, none of that stuff. Reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. And now I own it 100% outright. And can nobody tell me, and can nobody take it away from me. I can hire my brothers. I can hire my mama. I can hire my friends. I can hire guys getting out of jail. I can do whatever I want to do. I don't have a board to answer to. I don't have board members that can tell me what to do. No.
Yeah. Y'all, this is a big one. We gotta get this right. And while we have everybody's attention, I go back to what I said at the top, while we have everybody's attention and people recognize just how twisted these policies are and what the outcomes have been, which is something that Kareem talked a lot about on his episode. I don't give a shit about your intentions. I don't even give a shit about the policy. Like, what are the outcomes? And maybe your intent was good with the things you did in 94. What are the outcomes? And they've been deplorable.
Yes, sir.
So guys, as we have everybody's attention, this is something to rally around. This is something to advocate for. Social equity programs, look them up in your state because they all operate a little bit differently.
Yes, sir.
If we're gonna get Trump out of office, I don't know if anybody is super excited about Mr. Biden, but he does seem to be open to a dialogue with us directly. He's got this agenda for the Black community. I went and read it. The word cannabis does show up in there, but all it says is that he's going to reduce the sentencing, which was trash. Doesn't say anything about set-asides, doesn't say anything about giving licenses, preferential treatment for licenses, doesn't say anything about set-asides for the money, the tax revenue that's generated going towards Black and brown communities. It doesn't say any of that. It doesn't say any of that.
No governmental aid, no nothing.
Governmental, none of that.
None of that.
Training, getting folks ready to run these businesses.
Training, classes,
right.
Any of that.
Because I've also heard horror stories of people getting a license, and because they're not prepared, the vultures come in and swoop in when they fail, snatch the license out from under them.
100%. Or they get the license and then they have predatory practices because they need money. Right. So they have to sign over 49% of their license to some VC firm,
right,
or some other, Caucasian person with all this extensive knowledge,
right,
on how to get you out of your company,
right,
pay you some rinky-dink salary that's great to you, $5,000-$10,000 a month. You thinking you rich, and you not knowing you should be making, $100,000 a month.
Right, right. Yeah, these are the things we got to get right, guys. So we went a little bit over tonight, but it was absolutely worth it. I am thrilled that we were able to make this happen. Thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely. Put your socials out there. How can people get your product? How can people follow you on social? Put all of that out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow us at Ball Family Farms on IG. We're also you can go to our website, which is www.ballfamilyfarms.com. You can follow me personally at ChrisBall45. You can get our products on our website. Is a list of dispensaries that may be in your area who carry our products. I think we're in about 60 dispensaries now. We're on our way to. We want to be in the 100 top locations in California by the end of the year. Yeah, man, and that's how you find us. You can buy sweaters, hats, masks, all that good stuff on our website. We about the culture. We for the culture.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. I love it. Well, amazing episode. This is a topic I suspect will come back up again. The next big announcement that you have, please do come back. We're going to try to have Chris be just a regular and just a friend of the program.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Awesome. Well, be good, be safe. As I understand it, we didn't even get to this. We'll get to this later. But as I understand, weed is recession proof and COVID proof. And I know that business is booming.
Business is booming. Recession and pandemic proof, my brother.
My man.
We are essential business. Let's go.
So keep getting it. Keep doing your thing, brother. Continued success. And let's continue the conversation. Everybody be good. We'll see you next time.
Blessings. See you next time, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.